Please welcome onto the stage the head of Microsoft for Startups, giving you a speech all about the founder journey and lessons from surfing. He has travelled all the way from Los Angeles to be here with you. It's Han Jan!
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, like many of you, I took a long flight to get here, 12 hours. 12 hours on a plane, 2 hours in a car, and I walked out into the hotel lobby exhausted. I'm sure all of you know how that felt. Probably didn't smell very good, but the second that I saw those two Red Bulls charging at each other at that welcoming host stand, I started feeling the energy building. And it was the energy building for Red Bull Basement, and it's the energy building for what all of these amazing people in this room are going to do. So please, again, give yourselves a round of applause. So I'm so humbled to be part of this experience. I'm not a founder anymore. I'm at a different part of my journey. But I love sharing stories from my founder journey to hopefully help you with yours. I also dreamt of changing the world. But when I was your age, I had no idea how to start. Honestly, the only basement I was in was probably my mom's basement playing video games with my friends. So you guys are doing great. But you know, because I didn't know how to start, got a college degree, I got a corporate job, got promoted, kind of did my thing, 9 to 5, didn't work on weekends, didn't think that hard about it. But something felt like it was missing. And where my perspective changed is I was at Disney, and I was running a mobile game studio. Pretty comfortable job, making video games, doesn't get more fun than that. And I had my own personal assistant and my parking space with my name on it. Again, everything was going great. But again, something felt like it was missing. And where my perspective changed was when Disney started an accelerator. And I had a chance to work with startups from all around the world, kind of like here. And I remember one company in particular, it was a Japanese company called Tiffin. And you know, for a couple hours a week, I would sit down and meet with them. And they had this really cool product where you could use your phone, it would scan your face, and all of a sudden you could become whatever Disney character you wanted to be. So if you want to be Darth Vader or Mickey Mouse, all of a sudden you would move your mouth, you could talk, and it would translate your voice. This was like in 2012, it was a long time ago, but the technology was awesome. And this startup had figured out a way to harness that. I had some tips for them on how to change their onboarding flow to make it easier to get started and scan your face and all that. And I met with them a couple days later, and I thought, oh, maybe they've thought about my advice. And I was blown away, because they hadn't just designed the experience and talked about it. They put it into code, they put it into their product, and they launched it into market, and it was live. And so in 2 days, they went from an idea into a full-on feature. And when I saw that energy and I felt that founder energy, I knew that I needed to be part of that too. So I quit my job and I went and started my first company. That was the start of my founder journey. Now, I am currently the head of Microsoft for Startups. So what does that mean? I'm here to help startups. And sometimes I think I have the best job in the world because I don't just get to work on my own company, I get to help all of you work on yours as well. And that's how I'm trying to make a difference and change the world. So for Red Bull Basement, I think for Microsoft, we feel really lucky we get to contribute. We're giving you access to technology, you get some credits to use. We have some experts, technical, business, so please spend some time with Britton and Ed. Pick their brains, make sure you get all of their knowledge. You know, we're here to basically help you go from idea into product into company. So take the help that we can give you. And in my role, I've seen many disruptive technologies, from the internet to mobile, blockchain, AR, VR, but I'm here to tell you that AI is the real deal. And while the first generation was, writing emails for you and recapping meetings, now what you're starting to see is game-changing stuff. You're powering autonomous robots that are replacing humans. You're seeing models that can reverse the effects of climate change through the applications. So again, amazing technologies are coming. And Ryan's going to talk a lot about that. He probably knows a lot more about it than I do. So I'll leave that part to him. But what I do know is this. Those are just technology, or that's just technology. Those are just tools. And in the hands of the wrong people, it's not that impactful and it's not that useful. So again, as I look around this room, as I spoke with many of you about your ideas yesterday, I can tell that you're the right people. While some look at something that's never been done before, and they're overwhelmed by the difficulty, they're overwhelmed by the impossible odds, everyone in this room sees an opportunity. You have vision, you have passion, and you have drive, and you attack those problems because that's what you want to do in this world. And that's an amazing thing. So again, I'm so thrilled to be in this room. You guys are on such a good head start to your careers, and you're going to do such amazing things because now we have the right people with the right tools at the right time. The challenging thing, though, is that the founder journey is not a smooth one. So if you look at this, I love this metaphor. Hopefully some of you are familiar with this Japanese painting, The Great Wave off Kanagawa. And as a founder, you often share your peaks. You share those high moments. You share that moment when you won your Red Bull national final. You share that moment when you raised your first funding check, when you shipped your first product. But what people don't see is the troughs. And if you see where those boats are, that's actually where founders spend most of their time. So I was speaking with Sophie. Hi, I see you over there. She was a former winner of Red Bull World Final, and her company just got acquired. How amazing is that? Give her a hand. But as we spoke last night, she didn't talk about the peaks. What she talked about was those troughs. She talked about the hard moments. She talked about splitting with the co-founder, almost running out of money, arguing with investors about the right strategy. That's what you do as a founder. You spend more time in those troughs than you do in the peaks. So don't get confused by social media. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. The job that you're signing up for is working your way through those troughs. So my hope is that I can share some lessons that I've picked up. And to make it interesting, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite hobbies, which is surfing. It's part of the mission that I've chosen to be a great surfer. I'm not there yet, working on it. But I have some really valuable lessons that I think apply and really help me through my founder journey. So this is me and my kids. Before I was a founder, my life was pretty different. I watched a lot of TV, played video games. I, read books and had lots of interesting hobbies. I hung out with friends all the time. But I realized as a founder, and especially as I became a father, that wasn't as possible because I had 24 hours in a day and I couldn't do all the things that I wanted to do. So a lot of people will tell you, you need to choose your mission. What is it that you're passionate about? Go do that thing. But what I'm here to tell you is that choosing your mission is important, but choosing your moments is even more important. What are you going to do with all of those moments in your day where you need to be working on something that you care about? So as a founder, I had to drop everything. I have 3 things in my life that matter. It's my family, my job, and surfing. And that's my mission. Only those 3 things. And if I need to take my kids to school or have an important investor meeting, I would make time to go surfing because it was important to me. And even if it was cold and it was raining, I would spend 30 minutes, put on that wetsuit, and still paddle out there. Because again, it was important to me. So as a founder, don't just focus on your mission. Think about those moments. Think about what you're going to do with all of those spare minutes in your day and how you're going to put those towards something you care about. Because every minute you spend on something that's not meaningful is a minute that's wasted. Okay, so lesson 2. This is a secret beach. This is a secret beach in Los Angeles, and I live in LA. The way that waves work is they kind of form off the coast, and a week in advance you kind of see that a swell is coming. And so you check the forecast every day and you hope that you can pick the right spot, you know what the conditions are going to be. And so I sat there and tracked this storm for a week and tried to figure out what's going to be the perfect place. Is it going to be big enough? Is it going to be too big? The wind's going to be right. All these things that you need to think about. And I ended up meeting my friend Luis. We drove to the beach at 6 in the morning. And as I opened the door, I could smell the sea salt in the air. And I could hear the waves crashing on the sand, and I knew that it was going to be massive, bigger than any wave that I'd surfed before. And again, I'm just a mediocre surfer, so take my word. It was a lot more than I thought I could handle. And as I stood on the beach, it was just me, my friend Luis. We were the only ones that had kind of figured it out. There happened to be a photographer, so that's why there's a picture, and that red arrow, that's me, that little black dot. And a photographer's out there just shooting photos of the waves. And we stood on the beach for 20 minutes, kind of making excuses. We were stretching and basically trying to avoid having to paddle out. And my friend Luis eventually said, you know what, it's too big for me, I'm not going. But for me, I felt ready. So I got in the water, I got on my board, and I just started paddling. And one interesting thing about waves is you can see, that's me, I'm about to go over a wave, which felt pretty big at the time. But behind that is another wave, and another wave. And that's the way they work. They come in sets. And as a founder, that's going to be your life. You're going to have a challenge in front of you. It might be submitting something for the Red Bull National Final. It might be preparing for your final speech on Thursday. It might be having your first fundraiser meeting. It might be trying to work through a product problem, disagreeing with your co-founder. It doesn't matter because there's another challenge that's always there. And as a founder, you just keep paddling and you solve those problems one at a time. You work your way through. You have confidence that you have the skills and the ability to solve those challenges. So that's lesson number 2, just keep paddling. One of the challenges when you keep paddling is that you keep getting further and further out. So that red arrow, that's me again. The only difference was the waves were getting bigger and bigger as you get farther and farther out. And as I looked ahead, I saw a wave that looked bigger than anything I'd seen before that. And I'm paddling to it, and it's coming at me, and I'm racing to get there before the wave gets to me. Because what happens is if you're in the wrong place, and you're kind of like where that white water is, you have a mountain of water coming down on you, compressing you. It is a very uncomfortable place to be. So that's me paddling. My heart rate is getting faster and faster. And I don't know if anyone knows that term, your heart's in your throat. Literally, I could feel my heart here. And I felt like I was going to throw up. I couldn't breathe. And I'm coming up this wave, and I'm like fully vertical, and I'm just waiting to get thrown back. And I take one last paddle, and I make it over the other side. But I remember very distinctly what I was thinking about as I came over. I thought about how this wasn't my first time in the water. I'd spent thousands of hours surfing, working on my technique, paddling to get stronger, reading waves. I've been tracking the swell for a week. I've been standing on the beach watching where the sets were breaking. So I knew that I belonged there. And surfing's like such a funny sport because there's no like queuing, there's no line. There's no like, oh, it's your turn or my turn. When you paddle around, you look, you see if someone has the skills, you kind of see how they move around, and that's the person that gets the wave, and they know how to position themselves better. So that's called the lineup. And in order to be there, in order to belong out there amongst waves like that, you have to earn your way to the lineup. So what I'm telling you is, as a founder, put in the time. I remember advice that I got from an investor for my first company, and I swear, I think it's the biggest lie that founders are told. They're told, fake it till you make it. Has anyone heard that term? Fake it till you make it? So I interpreted that as telling the world about a product that didn't exist, talking about an idea that I wasn't sure was possible. I talked about a market size where I'd Googled some statistics and I put them together to make it seem like $1 billion industry, but I didn't believe it. And I was faking it until hopefully I'd buy some time to make it. But that's not what you should be doing, in my opinion. As a founder, you should never ship a product that you don't love. As a founder, you should never go after an opportunity that you don't think is worth it. As a founder, you should never have to misrepresent what you know and pretend to be an expert at something you're not. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put in the time. So then, as a founder, you never have to lower yourself to faking it until you make it. So if you don't think your product works, then go rebuild it. If you're not sure that you're going to get product market fit, go put together an MVP, test it with customers, see the reaction, make sure that they love it too. That's how you earn your place in the lineup. So finally, I make it out there. I'm so happy I survived. My heart returned back to my chest where it belonged. And I had some time to sit and watch, and I'm watching the waves come in. And at that point, I felt like I had the rhythm of the ocean down. I knew where I wanted to be. I knew which wave I was looking for. And when that moment came, when that perfect wave came to me, I whipped my board around, I put my head down, and I paddled as hard as I could. And I angled it exactly the way I wanted it to, popped to my feet without fear, and I charged forward. And that's my advice to you. You're going to have these moments where you're right on the cusp. You've done all the hard work. You believe in your product, and you're in the right position. So when that opportunity comes, you charge forward with 100% of your effort and without fear. But that's not where the story ends. So I told you there was a photographer on shore, and again, that's why you're looking at all these horrible pictures of me. But as I looked at this wave, I talked to the photographer. He sent me the photos. A couple days later, I opened them up. I was so excited to see the ride of my life. And I looked at it, and I was so disappointed. Because all I saw was mistakes. Why didn't I go for the barrel? Why did I go so straight? Why did I choose that board? I should have chosen something else. All I could think about was what I didn't do right. And while this wasn't the perfect ride, I was actually reminded of this quote right here. It's from Nelson Mandela. Hopefully you can see it in the back. And the quote is, "I never lose. I either win or learn." And so this wave, which I thought was the ride of my life, actually was kind of a loss. Like I was a little disappointed. But as I thought about it more, as I had some time to reflect, it was actually an opportunity for me to learn. And I learned that next time, I will choose a different board. I will paddle to a different spot. I'll pick a different wave, and I'll do it even better. And so this is a lesson for you as a founder. 90% of startups fail. I honestly think that number is extremely generous. It's way more than 90% of startups fail. Successful startup founders go through multiple companies before they find the one that works. So what you need to do is think about those moments not as wins or losses, but actually as opportunities to learn. As you go through this week, as you sit through these expert sessions, you listen to the panel that's coming up, take the opportunity to learn. Go and present your problems to the experts, see what they have to say. Talk to your fellow founders, network with them, get inspired by what they're doing. This is an opportunity. So whatever happens for the rest of the week, whether you win or lose, doesn't matter. Because what you have here is an amazing opportunity to learn. But when it is your turn, and when you've chosen the right mission, you've paddled out to the right place, you're sitting in the perfect spot, you've earned your spot in the lineup, and that opportunity comes, when it's your turn, you're going to whip your board around. You're going to put your head down and you're going to paddle as hard as you can. And you're going to go catch the ride of your life. And when you do, your supporters from Microsoft, from AMD, from Red Bull Basement, all the founders in this room are going to be there cheering you on as you get ready to change the world. So congratulations to all of you again on making it to the Red Bull Basement World Final 2024. You're going to have an amazing week, and I'm so happy that I got to be a small part of your journey this week. Enjoy.